So this video is entitled Crossing the Road. And I wanted to share with the group just one experience I had many years ago, but it's always stayed with me, which is about sort of societal and institutional racism. And it's a personal experience that I wanted to share with the group. And I had it when I was about 22 years old. I was doing some voluntary work in London, working at a literacy scheme, and they had some quite good sort of awareness courses that you did as part of being, I was a volunteer tutor for disadvantaged people in literacy and numeracy. So one of the days, anyway, we did this little course one day, which was about sort of institutional racism, really. And you had to do this exercise where I remember picked out something from a brochure. It was out of a travel brochure, actually. And you pointed out, you know, where the institutional racism was, which was pretty easy in those days, actually, because there was like no Black people in the picture. And I was able to sort of identify about 20 things in this picture that, you know, indicated sort of racism or hidden racism, if you like, not overt, but kind of implied. And I remember they sort of commented to me afterwards. In fact, it was, I think, the following week, and they said, wow, what a great exercise that I had done. And they were very impressed, and I thought, oh, that's all very super duper. And so anyway, I was walking home probably about 2 or 3 days later from doing something, and I was crossing the road, and as I was crossing the road, I realized why I was crossing the road. And I was crossing the road because I was seeing a Black person walking towards me on my side of the road. And so I was crossing the road. And I had a realization, like a sort of sudden revelation, that I hadn't looked at this person at all, but obviously I'd out of the side of my eye clocked that this person was Black, and that was enough to make me cross the road to the other side, to feel threatened as a white person. I hadn't even looked at the person. I didn't know what they were wearing. I don't even think I knew what gender they were. They might have been a male. But suddenly a huge penny dropped. You know, I did then glance at the person because it sort of dropped all of a sudden, and I could see that they were sort of quite smartly dressed and looked a perfectly sort of normal person. Nothing to feel threatened about, in other words. But yet, I suspect it was because I was doing that exercise that sort of raised my awareness and kind of made the dots between my conscious and unconscious a little bit more filterable, those boundaries, so that I was able to catch myself. And I'd come from a family that were proudly anti-racist. I'd been on anti-racist demos myself from quite a young child, you know, so I prided myself on, you know, not being racist. And yet there I was, and I caught myself crossing the road.